All right. Hello. Thank you for being here. This is a wild day. This is the first time in my teaching life that there is no one present in this classroom. So it's all online, which has its advantages too, that I can focus on the people online unless people join us a little later in person. So welcome. Thanks for being here. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. And we are in week 5. I want to remind everybody this announcement right here on the home page of our course, Getting Ready for Astoria. If you are going on this field trip, but you haven't filled out what you want for lunch, please do that. You click on this link right here to the form and choose what lunch you're going to have. This is next week on Thursday. So it does not interrupt our class at all. However, messages have been sent to other instructors. If you are going to be absent from their class, you will be excused. All right. Good morning. Good morning, Rania.
Good morning.
How you doing today?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day.
Beautiful day. And then tomorrow's going to be 80.
I know. It's like it's really happening.
Too bad we have a class tomorrow.
Good morning, Livea. Welcome. Okay, so I was just talking about the field trip. If you are going but have not selected your lunch, please choose this announcement here, Getting Ready for Astoria. Fill out the form so that you can pick what lunch you want to have provided to you. All right. Today we are doing author's purpose, April 30th. So I've been keeping up with the putting recordings out there on that homepage in the announcements. Every announcement contains the 2 kind of classes that we do for the week so that you can easily find the recordings if you miss. So I hope that you are caught up. Today we are talking about author's purpose in writing. And we're going to complete a reading assignment in here. And as I mentioned, the very first part of this class, we focused a whole lot on writing. We're kind of moving into the reading comprehension, and our assignments are going to be more reading focused. At the very end of the term, again, we'll work on putting together an essay a little bit. But anybody have any questions or struggles about where we're at or comments? Next week, I'm going to have a feedback form for you all to fill out just to let me know, like, what are the things that are working for you in this class? What's not working? I want to make sure that we're using your time the best possible way. So look for that next week. Let's get started today. If no one has any questions for me at this time, let's get started on our grammar lesson for today, which is going to be capitalization. What do we know right now about capitalizing? When do we use capital letters and not in various things?
Well, we should use it in the beginning of the sentence, and then we should use it for a place and yeah, place or names.
Fantastic. Perfect. So places or names, those are also called proper nouns. Those are times when we capitalize, and we always, always capitalize the very first letter of every sentence. We have all kinds of visual clues to help us know when an idea ends and a new one begins, like having punctuation. Capitalization also clues us in to the fact that we're not only starting a new idea, but that when we have it in a sentence, the thing that we are referring to is a specific place rather than like a general. It's a specific woman rather than just women in general, or a specific town rather than towns in general.
I
Excellent.
have a question.
Yeah,
So I know it's usually in the beginning of the sentence it should be capitalized, but do we do capitalize even when it's in the middle of sentence?
we do. Isn't that weird? That is just a rule that was established. It doesn't really have any backing for it. I guess if you're talking about yourself, you're a proper noun, is the thinking, the only thinking that I can come up with. But yes, every time that you are referring to just yourself and I is a single word, it should be capitalized no matter where it is in the sentence.
Okay.
And I guess really now that I'm even saying it out loud, the reasoning is that when you're referring to yourself, you're referring to a proper noun person, right? So that gets capitalized. But whenever we say you over there, that's also a proper noun person, but you is not capitalized, only when we're talking about ourselves, I. Great question. Any other times that we use capital letters, like throughout a sentence? What about for like movies or books?
Yeah, sometimes I see for movies or books, it should be all of them capitalized.
That's right. Yeah, those are considered titles, and we generally capitalize almost all of the words within a title. There are some exceptions that we're going to learn about in this video. So just consider that whenever you're referring to movie, book, article title, you'll notice that most of the words in there are capitalized. So this is this is a really quick lesson, and they talk really fast. So if you are making notes or you want this paused at any point, give me a shout. I'll try to pause it in certain parts so that we can take some notes or just make some comments about it.
Hello, I'm back once again on Grammarly's YouTube with a brand new episode of Level Up, your source for writing and communication advice. This video is all about capitalization rules, so let's discuss what makes for worthy and unworthy capitalized letters and subjects. But before the lesson begins, do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. Give this video a like and share a comment if you like the topic. And if you're in need of writing and communication assistance, visit Grammarly.com to download the free writing tool that will help with all your writing needs. Okay, great. Off we go. Capitalization rules might feel overwhelming, but I'm here to help simplify them with 8 must-know rules. Rule number 1, capitalize the first word of a sentence. Always capitalize the first word of a sentence, okay? That's it. Easy, right? Rule number 2, capitalize names and other proper nouns. Jane Austen, Judge Judy, my dog.
Notice, yeah, her dog Boomer. And I just paused that to point out that Judge Judy, only her name Judy is a name, but when we're combining titles and names together, they both get capitalized.
Boomer. They all get capitalized because names are proper nouns. Names of cities, countries, companies, religions, and political parties are also proper nouns. So,
okay, I'm pausing there too, because that's interesting to note. Cities, that we can all imagine that if we're talking about Beaverton or Portland, Tigard, all of those places are capitalized. So are the states, Oregon, Washington, those would be capitalized. Countries, the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Lebanon, all of these places would be capitalized too. Company names are going to be capitalized. If you work at Nike or Intel, those are capitalized words. Religions, so all of our formalized religions would be capitalized too, as well as political parties, because it is a specific thing.
oh, you should capitalize them too. You should also capitalize words like mom and grandma when they're used as forms of address. Like, just wait until mom sees this. Rule number 3, don't capitalize after a colon, usually. In most cases, you don't need to capitalize after a colon. For example, I have one true passion, figure skating. But there are a couple exceptions, like when the word following the colon is a proper noun. There is only one place I want to visit, New York City. The other exception is when the words following the colon form one or more complete sentences. Maggie wears a brimmed cap at all times for these 2 reasons. Strong light often gives her a headache. She also likes the way it looks.
This is a pretty uncommon sentence situation, but she's just giving us all of the possible options.
Rule number 4, capitalize the first word of a quote, sometimes. Capitalize the first word of a quote when the quote is a complete sentence. For example, Mario asked, "What is everyone doing this weekend?" Don't capitalize the first word of partial quotes. Gretchen said that she was way too busy to join the gym. Rule number 5, Capitalize days, months, and holidays, but not seasons. The names of days, months, and holidays are proper nouns, so you should always capitalize them. The names of seasons, however, are not proper nouns, so there's no need to capitalize. Rule number 6, capitalize most words and titles. The capitalization rules for titles of books, movies, and other works varies a little between style guides. In general, you should capitalize the first word, all nouns, all verbs, all adjectives, and all proper nouns.
And that seems like just about everything. So the only words that leaves out then are the words that, like really small words that join different things together. So those tend to be conjunctions. Does anybody remember what is considered a conjunction? Think about that word. Junction is a word for joining. Anybody have an idea what a conjunction is? Okay. They're those little words that we use and, but, or, that join two different phrases together. This and this or this, that sort of thing. So those don't get capitalized. They're really short words. Other short words that are often not capitalized are considered prepositions. Those are the words that kind of give placement or arrangement. So in, by, for, on, between, those are all preposition words, and they're just kind of there to join your important words together in a way, so they don't get capitalized in titles.
That means you should lowercase articles, conjunctions, and prepositions. However,
we talked about conjunctions, the and, or, but, prepositions, on, by, for, between, but articles are those little words that we use often before a noun. It is the, a, and an are articles.
Or some style guides say to capitalize conjunctions and prepositions that are longer than 5 letters. Rule number 7, capitalize cities, countries, nationalities, and languages. The names of cities, countries, nationalities, and languages are proper nouns, so you should always capitalize them. Rule number 8, capitalize time periods and events, sometimes. Specific periods, eras, and historical events that have proper names should be capitalized. However, centuries and the numbers before them are not capitalized. Now that I broke down these 8 key tips, ask yourself, am I using capitalization correctly? If you're still unsure, download Grammarly today to check your grammar and improve your all-around writing skills. Look out for more episodes from us on all things.
Okay, that's a lot of information quickly. The best thing to do to get used to this is practice it. And I find that most people are already doing this in their life, but we'll have a chance to practice. That last video was made by Grammarly. She suggests downloading it. I download Grammarly. It doesn't work in every single situation, but when I'm writing anything in Google Docs, Grammarly is there, and it really helps. It makes a difference and shows me where I'm making grammar mistakes or may be able to improve my writing. So it's free, and I endorse that one. I enjoy the benefits of it, if you're considering that. Okay, let's get into practicing our capitalization. Open this up, make it big. If you happen to have a printer, this might be something nice to print out. If not, just you can make your notes. So our activity is to go through all of these 14 sentences. We're going to add punctuation that is required, and we are going to capitalize any of the words that do not have capitalization that should. So let's take about 10 minutes to do this, and then we will go over the answers together, keeping in mind that several of the sentences have more than one option for how you would choose to punctuate in particular. And I think that's it. Just the punctuation can be a couple different choices. So please take 10 minutes. It's 10:19 right now. Let's go to 10:30, and then we will look at answers together. So if you're watching this recording, I'd go ahead and pause to come back because I'm going to stop the recording for the 10 minutes. Okay, great. Good morning. Hello. It's all right. I'm happy you're here, Hawa. We are just reviewing capitalization, but they've spent 10 minutes kind of looking at these and determining where capital letters need to be and where periods and things need to be. So we're about to go over it together. Okay, how was this for people? Difficult or pretty straightforward? What did you
Pretty
think?
straightforward.
Pretty straightforward? Excellent. All right. Let's go pull up the answers.
You need to put the capital or we need to.
Yeah, you can just write over the top of it. Like that's what I did in my
Are we gonna do it together and then after that we look at the answer, or how is that going?
The easiest way for me to pull it up is just to have these answers, but we can talk through what's capitalized here. Okay. So in the first one, River Yamuna flows through Agra. We've got a capital R for the river as well as the name of the river, River Yamuna. So
Yeah.
I think all of these places are in India, just happen to be where I got my source from is so if they are unfamiliar, if these words are unfamiliar, they are probably a proper noun. So we've got river, Yamuna, this word Agra, which I know is a place in India, and a period. River Yamuna flows through Agra, period.
What I notice for all the sentence, it should be capitalized, all of them in the beginning of the word, and then needs period or question mark in there.
Yes, almost all of them. It's just period or question mark. There are some where you might have chosen to do an exclamation point. It doesn't make the sentence wrong. It just kind of depended on how you imagined it being delivered. Same can be true with commas. Sometimes people put in a comma one place. It doesn't always mean it has to be there. So there's a little bit of choice involved in that. But great notice, Rania. For number 2, Eiffel Tower is the most famous monument in France. Again, much like river here, the Eiffel Tower, the T in tower gets capitalized also because it is part of the whole description. So Eiffel is the name of it, tower is what it is, but because they're together, they're both capitalized.
And France.
France, and then France, yeah. With a period in this case. Okay, number 3, my brother is a singer, the most straightforward. All we're doing is capitalizing that very first letter because the sentence doesn't tell us who their brother is. My brother is a singer, period.
I have a question about this,
Yeah.
colleague. Singer, it should be capital because
Singer should not be capital because it is not a specific singer. If he said that he was employed as a singer at a particular organization, you might capitalize it because it has become a specific title. But for this, it's like he's just somebody that sings. Much like you would be artist or writer.
If we say he's a hip hop singer, should be capital?
Still not then. Still not then.
It's not? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, great question. Really great question, because we did just talk about titles, but this would not be considered a title. It's just more of the description. Like if somebody was to ask me, what do you do? Oh, I'm a teacher. If someone asked me more specifically, where do you work? I am an instructor at Portland Community College. That time it would be in capital I for instructor, because now I've given you a very specific job that is my exact title at a specific place. Whereas being a singer or some things are more generic, or if I replied to someone that I'm a teacher, I'm not being specific and it would not be capitalized. Okay, number 4. Where have you been all this while? So we know it's a question because we're kicking it off with where. Only the where is capitalized. That's it. Anybody have something different? Or try something. Shout out if you put something different, because there are some other choices depending on how you've set this up.
Colleen?
Yeah.
I never someone saying the sentence like heard, where have you been?
Mhm. You would say the sentence, where have you been? Like you don't need all this while. You cut out there, Rania. Can you say it again? Okay. It would absolutely be correct if you had just said, where have you been? And you took out this all this while. That's a fine sentence too, and that's a fine question. There's nothing wrong with that sentence. Yeah, I know your microphone has issues. I'm sorry, Rania. I hope I'm answering your questions completely. If not, let me know in chat and we'll go back and visit that. Okay, number 5. You look hot. Are you ill? Okay, great. I'm glad I did. Okay. Excellent, excellent. You look hot. Are you ill? So they've separated it out into 2 sentences with a capital U and a capital R. You could also write, are you hot, or you look hot, comma, are you ill? Question mark. You could also put quotes in there. If you saw that as a quote, like someone's directly asking it, the whole sentence could have quotes around it too, and that would all be correct. So
Yes, I put comma between them.
yes, I did too. That was my first instinct as well, to have it be one sentence and only the you be capitalized.
Colleen, is it the period? It should be the end of the sentence. So I don't know. I'm kind of confused because it's in the middle.
It is, yes. So they decided that the best punctuation for this was to make it 2 sentences. But like your choice, I chose it too when I was going through this. You look hot, comma, are you ill? That's fine as all one sentence. It just depends how you choose to break it up. They're both correct. Okay, number 6. Come here at once. Capital C, and we've got a period. Anybody do it differently?
What is it?
Number 6. Come here at once.
To put an explanation.
Yeah, me too. Hala, I put an exclamation point at the end of that. That's both of them are perfectly fine. You can imagine someone saying, come here at once, or saying, come here at once, right? So both are fine. It just depends how the person's speaking. Yeah. Okay, number 7. Rohan is a smart boy. So from this, we could deduce that Rohan is a boy's name. And so we want to capitalize that also because it's at the beginning of the sentence. That's all there is to that one. Capital R, Rohan is a smart boy. Number 8, Sonia couldn't believe her eyes when she saw the bicycle. So just Sonia's name capitalized, nothing else to do there with a period at the end. Anybody do anything different?
With the couldn't, you put the
Yeah, what was that? What's that, Natalie?
with the what is that? Comma? No.
Apostrophe.
Apostrophe, sorry. Yeah, at the end of the N for couldn't.
At the end of couldn't, like Sonia couldn't and have a
Yeah.
period?
No.
Comma. I think she
Comma.
means
Oh, Sonia couldn't, comma, believe her eyes. No, that would change the meaning too much.
No, I think in the regular one, it didn't have I know it's not
Oh, the apostrophe. You're saying
yeah,
this
there you go.
apostrophe. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. You're right. In the original one, didn't have this apostrophe between the N and the T, and it really has to be there. The only other exception, yes, would be to say Sonia could not and make them 2 separate words. So that's all couldn't is. We're shortening the word could not. And thank you very much. This comma that's up in the air is called an apostrophe. Apostrophe. And we use it to make contractions. Contractions are when we shorten words. So all of those don't, that's like turning do not into one word, could not into one word, couldn't, have not, hadn't. And we also use apostrophes for possessives. Anybody know what a possessive is? Okay. If I were to say Gigi's purse, Gigi's book bag, it has an apostrophe in the air before that S to show that you are possessing it. It belongs to you. Okay. When we have an S without an apostrophe at the end of the word, it means that there's more than one of them. But if we put an apostrophe S, it means it belongs to someone in that sentence. And that's called a possessive because we're possessing it. So it's kind of attached to something. So that's another time we use an apostrophe. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I almost overlooked it, and it is a very important part of this. Okay, number 9, India is the 7th largest country in the world.
This one has a lot of capitalized.
This one only capitalizes India. So
How
the
about country?
7th, yes, India is the country, but we don't capitalize the word country itself. We only capitalize the names of the actual countries. So that was a little trick there. It's kind of like
And
saying states or cities. We don't capitalize the words states or cities, but we capitalize the state, Oregon. We capitalize the state, Washington, but not the word states because it's too generic. It could be referring to any of them.
and then how about the world?
Yep, the world also. I know you'd think it was specific, but it isn't. If we were
This
to
is so
write, which
confusing.
is so, it is confusing. If we were to write the word Earth, we have identified a particular world that we are talking about, and that would be capitalized, the planet Earth. I guess it depends. It could be generic how people determine what their world is. But you're right, there's more subtleties in here than at first glance. All right, number 10, Mumbai, that is the name of a city, I know, is the capital of Maharashtra, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Maharashtra. Assuming that that is a country or a county or a state, Mumbai is the capital of that place. So Mumbai I've heard of, I know it's in India, but Maharashtra I'm assuming is also in India. Mumbai is the capital of it, but I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's a state. I know they have states in India, don't they? Yeah, maybe the city's capital of that state. Kind of fun to be like given somewhere else that we have to make some guesses about and can't like definitively know. It's good context clues. Okay, number 11. My best friend and his family are moving to Chennai, which I'm guessing is another city in India. So only the name Chennai, the best friend is too generic, his family is generic, but Chennai is capitalized.
Colleen,
Yes.
Maharashtra, it's a state of India. I just Googled it.
Oh, you Googled it. Excellent. So
Yeah.
Maharashtra is the state in India. Mumbai is the capital of that state.
It's like a museum.
Very cool.
Yeah, the name of it. Okay, nice. We just learned something new about India.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rania. Number 12. You don't look happy to see me, do you?
That's sad.
That is sad. That's very sad. What a sad sentence. The only other option that I could see if people chose it, it would be correct. You don't look happy to see me, period. Do you question mark could be its whole own sentence. So that would also be correct if you did. You don't look happy to see me, period. Capital D-O-U.
I put a
Question mark.
comma.
You put a comma? The comma's great. That's
Yeah.
that's what's here. It's correct.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just both choices are good. I think the one with the comma is probably better, but it could, if you had chose them to be two separate sentences,
But
that's fine too.
why the period if the question
Oh, if I stopped
Uh-huh.
at you don't look happy to see me, period. If I stopped there, I could say that as a statement. You don't look happy to see me, but then I could ask, do you?
oh
As a
okay.
whole separate sentence, that's a question.
Yeah.
But if I leave them together, the whole thing is a question and there's no period in there.
Oh.
Yeah. Number 13, you shouldn't have done this to John. So we've got, again, that contraction. So we have an apostrophe there in the shouldn't. And then we capitalized John's name. Okay, 14.
How
Oh,
we
yeah.
can identify with the words with the apostrophe.
How do we identify words with apostrophe? It is almost, those words with apostrophe are always going to be contractions. So let's look at the common. There's not that many words that we do that. Great question. If we see N and T together, there are some words that have N and T, so that's not going to be it. But these are the most common ones that you would see. I should download this and put it up, put it in our stuff so that you can see it. I am, I'm, I have, I've. These are ones that you just kind of have to memorize. There is really if you can imagine it being two words, if it made sense to be two words, but you just are pushing them together, it's going to have an apostrophe. But it's just kind of getting
A
used
lot
to
of them.
memorization. It is a lot of them.
A lot of
It
them.
is a lot. Okay, I'm going to download this and put it up in our site so that you can look at it again.
You know, sometimes I like it because, especially if you're in a hurry, you don't have to put like couple words. You just make it shorter in one word.
Yeah. Shorter and one word. Yeah. It is really convenient. If you are not sure and you're writing, always use two words. Then you won't have a problem of where the apostrophe goes. But it is good to notice. And as you read other writing, just make a note every time you see apostrophe. Where is it at? Why did they do that? What are the two words that it could have been? It's usually, there's a whole lot of knots in here. Do you see that? There's like that whole first side it's a combination of is not, might not, shall not. So you can do a lot of those two words together. And then on the right-hand side, there's a lot of being verbs like is, are, was. So there is, there has, theirs, they had, they'd, they will, they'll. Yeah, I'm gonna get that into our
Thank you.
course. Yeah, no, thank you for the question. That is really good. Let's get it up here. I'm gonna stick it up here right before I forget and before we do the last one. So we can refer back to this. Do you ever access this course on your computer? Okay. You could look at it some more. So that's a perfect list. Move it on up.
You like singing?
Yeah, no, I'm a terrible singer, but I just do it all the time anyway. My poor kids. I'm singing garbage all the time. Okay, there it is, contractions. Great to look at later. Okay, last one in the capitalization, 14. There is a large rainforest in South America. So in this case, we've got the T to start us off, but we're also doing South America. If we just said there's a large rainforest to the south, that's generic. We wouldn't capitalize that south, but we do capitalize it because South America, it's part of the proper name of the continent.
Like we're being specific.
Yes, now it's become specific because we are talking about a specific place.
Also, the difference with the country.
It's different if it's part of, yes, countries or states, right? States have sometimes they're North Dakota, South Dakota. But if I just said, if I was giving you directions and you're like, where is that located from here? And I said, oh, you drive south to, that one's not capitalized. I'll tell you, the one that gets me in capitalization all the time is the seasons. I always want to capitalize spring, summer, fall, but they are not capitalized. And so at the beginning of this, the video that we watched was from Grammarly, and I use Grammarly. It's free. Does anybody ever use that? It can fix your writing as you're going. Like, go, this doesn't look so good. Maybe you should say it this way. So, I use
What
it.
is it?
I've learned from
Sorry, what is it?
called
Colleen?
Grammarly. Yeah, let me show you.
Is it an app?
It is, it's kind of an app. It just adds, like, once you sign up, it just starts running on your computer. And most places, there are some places where it won't work, but almost, I mean, even within homework, things like that, it will give you suggestions. It's kind of
I think
just
I
like
have
spell
it.
check, grammar check. So you can just sign up, it's free, and then it runs on whatever computer you have downloaded it on. No matter what you're entering, it'll show you, like, here's some Grammarly suggestions.
No, Colleen, well, I need your advice. If you think there is an app or anything like that to correct your English when you say something and you're adding a word is not
Yeah,
supposed to be there or something like that.
that's right.
Do
This is the one. I'd say this is the one. This is what I use. I like it. I've used it now for a couple years. It's consistently free. It doesn't try to, you can, and every once in a while it'll suggest, like, you could go pro and learn more stuff, and I've never done that. But it has been,
grammar
it's been
is
really
called
reliable.
Grammarly?
Grammarly.
Okay.
Grammarly. Yeah. Yep, all these different companies are using it too, so it's pretty good. Put that into our resources also. Nope, 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 nope. Link. Okay. I put a link in our learning resources also for Grammarly if you want to get it. I did put a resource in here last time. How I was asking about improving grammar. I like this. This is another free one. Words Daily. It'll send something to your email about just an interesting word, what it means. I like it. I get this one too. Moniker today. The word of the day is moniker, which is a person's name or nickname. Okay. 10:53. Let's go ahead and take a what are we doing today, Ronnie? A 10 minutes or 15 minutes?
15. Come on, Colleen.
15. All right. Thank you. I need your backup. Okay, 15-minute break. I'm going to put up a countdown, and we'll see you in 15. Okay, back to recording. Welcome back from break. Here we go. We're going to talk about author's purpose today. So we've been practicing writing and learning about descriptive writing, persuasive writing, writing for information. We wrote instructions, we wrote a descriptive paragraph, and we talked about persuading people. So now we've thought about it when we're the writer. Now we're going to think about it as the reader. If we can tell what the author was trying to do, were they trying to inform us of something or give us instructions? Are they trying to entertain us? Just provide something interesting and entertaining to read about. Even if it's factual, sometimes if it's in the form of a story, that's for entertainment purposes. And then the last one is they might be trying to persuade us. So how do we know when we read some sentences if we can tell what the author's trying to do? So let's talk a little bit more about that. Okay. So again, the author's purpose might be to amuse the reader, to persuade, or to inform us. The last one in here that we haven't really talked about is to satirize. Does anybody know what that is, to satirize or to write satire? Yeah, absolutely. How it says when someone is joking. Yes. So sometimes we write things in a manner that sounds kind of serious, but it's not intended to be, and that's satirizing or kind of making fun of something. So that's another possible situation. That's a kind of entertainment writing, but you might see it sometimes. So satirize or satire. But basically, all of these fall under one of these three categories. We're either persuading, informing, or trying to entertain. So most of the novels or any fictional things that we read are intended to entertain. Even if we learn something through the entertainment, the purpose was primarily to entertain. And a lot of times it's a combination of the two. Sometimes one might just be stronger than the other. We might be trying to be entertaining and also informative. We might combine them, but we're going to look at kind of where they're a little bit more distinct today. Any questions about those? All right, let's look at a quick video that kind of gives us a little further information.
Hello, readers. Today we are going on a dangerous journey inside the mind of the author. Every piece of text is written for a purpose, and especially in informational texts, every author structures their texts, words, and their ideas with that purpose in mind. And sometimes that purpose will be harder to see. As readers, our job is to consider the author's purpose as we read. How is it influencing the information the author shares? How is it influencing my understanding of time? Is what I think the same as what the author thinks? Do I agree with them? Do I disagree? You may be familiar with the memory device of PI, persuade, inform, entertain, as three categories of purpose, but I'd like to go deeper than that. I live in Washington, D.C., which is home to an entire professional class of what are called lobbyists, people whose job it is to advocate to Congress on behalf of a special interest. For example, the oil industry or the cheese industry. This isn't always bad. You can learn more about lobbyists and advocates in Khan Academy's government and politics course, but frequently it takes the form of someone from an industry trying to convince Congress to give them a competitive advantage over other industries. Now let's pull real-world politics out of this and pretend, for the purposes of this lesson, that there are two warring lobby groups in DC. One that represents the cake industry and another that represents the pie industry. An age-old conflict. So hold that conflict in your mind for a second, cake versus pie. Now, when we read informational text, we should be learning new information, but the author's opinions can shape the text to the point where the information becomes biased or misleading. When you read informational text, maintain an air of healthy skepticism. Ask yourself the following questions constantly. What's the author's opinion? What information did they include, or what information did they leave out? And if so, was that on purpose? What's the connotation of the author's word choice? How do the words feel? And what's the overall tone of the piece? So now we have these questions to ask ourselves. Let's return to our pie versus cake lobby fight in Washington. So imagine you're reading the Washington Post and you see this opinion column. Cake connected to cavities and poor dental health study finds. A recent study by the American Dental Association connected the consumption of cake or similar foods with a 30% increased risk of tooth decay, cavities, and gingivitis. People who reported having consumed cake in the previous 60 days were significantly more likely to experience problems related to dental health than those people who did not. Cake is dangerous. Cake, which rarely contains fruit, will rot your teeth. And then if we squint down at the very bottom of the column, it'll say in small text, the author is the CEO of Circular Solutions, a pie advocacy network. And now let's ask ourselves those same questions again, while acknowledging that this is a fake story that I made up for the purposes of this video. There is nobody named Wendell Apricot Jam, although I wish there were, that'd be a great name. So what's the author's opinion? Well, it seems to me that the author really thinks cake is dangerous and poses a threat to the nation's dental health. We know this because they literally say cake is dangerous. They want people to buy and eat fewer cakes. What information did the author choose to include? Well, so this is interesting. The author talks about the results of this study and the big takeaways about the danger of cake or similar foods, and then they go on to mention, incidentally, that cake rarely contains fruit. That's a curious thing to say. It's almost like they're saying pie, which has fruit in it, is better for you than cake without actually saying it. What information did the author choose to leave out? Well, notice that the piece says cake or similar foods. I would be hard pressed to come up with a definition of foods similar to cake that does not also include desserts like pie. But the way that this piece is written, it swerves out of its way to avoid pinning the same tooth decay risks on pie the way that it blames cake. I think it would be reasonable to assume that if we read the underlying study that this opinion piece is based on, it would include pies and cakes in the same category of sugary desserts that are associated with bad dental outcomes. Why would the author do this? Well, they want you to buy pie instead of cake. But they don't want you to think too hard about it, because if you did, you would buy and eat both less cake and less pie. And the pie lobby doesn't want that. What's the connotation or the feeling of the author's word choices? Well, they're citing a scientific study by dentists, so they want you to take their warning seriously. They're using words like risk, danger, rot, problems. They want you to make an association between eating cake and bad tooth health. They want you to associate scientific language with trustworthiness. So I'm going to put down scientific authority here. What's the overall tone? It's negative. The author does not want you to eat cake. They want you to think it's bad, and they've planted a little hint here that fruity foods are better. And what's a fruity food? Pie. Can they say pie is safer? No, not without lying outright. Now, I want to be clear about two things. Sometimes an author's purpose really will just be to inform straightforwardly. Not everything has to be a tug of war between you and the author over the truth. Sometimes a writer just wants you to know the life cycle of a butterfly or how to make egg salad or the order of the US presidency. But most of the time, there's a purpose and opinion behind the text. Now, the second thing I want to be super clear about is that I made up this whole thing. I made up the article, the statistics, Wendell, all of that's fake. I like both pie and cake very much. And now that I've said that, I'm sure you're wondering, oh, is David in the pocket of big dessert? And the answer is no. I'm in the pocket of big free education for everyone, everywhere. You can learn anything. David out. Hello, readers. Today
We're not starting. All right. Once again, the best way to know if we can recognize author's purpose is for us to practice. So I've got two activities here. There are also answer keys where you can check yourself if you are watching on Zoom. But let's take some time and see if we can answer these. It's 2 pages of just single sentences. And we are looking for one of these 3 choices. The author's purpose is either to entertain, to persuade, or to inform. On Zoom, I encourage you to open this up yourself so that you can scroll through and read it at your learning leisure. And let me show you one more time where that is located. So we are in week 5. Today is April 30th, and we're talking about author's purpose. Once you have chosen that, we are going to this activity, author's purpose 1, and it opens up like this. Let's take about 10 minutes to read these. You don't have to write out, explain your answer. We can just talk about that, but as long as you get down the word that whether this is to entertain, inform, or persuade, and we'll go over it together in 10 minutes. I'm going to pause the recording so if you're watching this recording after the fact, you'll want to pause the recording too until you are ready to review them together. Okay, welcome back. We're going to go over these purposes together. So for the first one, a story about a family trying to stick together and survive through the Great Depression in the Midwest in the 1930s. What do we think is the author's purpose for this?
I think inform.
Yeah. Inform. Gigi says inform. Any other guesses?
It's the description of is how a family is trying to survive to stay together for the depression in 1930.
Absolutely, yes. So it's a descriptive. This would actually be, this is one of the most challenging ones. It would be entertain is their purpose. So this is tricky because we're talking about some factual information in there. We're going to learn something. We are going to learn something about the Great Depression. But here, Gigi, is the clue for you. Right here in the first part, it says a story about this. So even though it's an actual thing that happened, a story about it could mean that it's entirely fictional, and they might pull in some things that happened during that time, but it's really going to be for entertainment because it is a story. So it's not true, but then I asked the question for the second one, right? This is a section in a history book describing the conditions and causes of the Great Depression in the Midwest in the 30s. So which one's this going to be? Inform. Hawa says inform, absolutely. So in this case, they're about kind of the same thing, but the author's purpose for this one's different. He's drawing on conditions, causes. It's for information purposes, not for entertainment. The third one, an instructional booklet describing how to operate a smartphone. How about somebody on Zoom? Type into chat or shout out. What is the author's purpose for number 3? Instructional booklet describing how to operate a smartphone. What do you think? I know you guys know this. Hawa's going to tell us. What is it, Hawa? Inform. Hawa says inform. Yes. If we've got instructions, they are definitely informing us. So number 3 is inform. It's that keyword instructional there is going to go, this is going to be information. Inform. Okay, number 4, an article where the author argues that an iPhone is better than an Android phone.
How you say persuade?
Persuade, yeah, excellent. Yes, Gigi says persuade. That absolutely is a persuasion, number 4. Right.
Argue which one's better.
That's a really reasonable guess, and it could be written in a really entertaining way. But if they have already made an opinion, they're choosing that one is better, for sure they're going to try to persuade. The writing is going to be about, like, come on, the iPhone's better. I'm
Like,
telling you
for
why.
example, like, this book is better than that.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
exactly. So you
Like
could
why?
give us the reasons and convince us why that's better. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, number 5. A poem about why the iPhone is the greatest consumer electronic device ever made. What do we think the author's purpose is there?
Entertain.
This time it's entertain. Great, Gigi. Yes, absolutely. Number 5 is entertain. How did you know that it wasn't informing?
Because they have a poem.
A poem. Excellent. Yes. Poem is usually for enjoyment, not information.
Serious.
Yeah, not so serious. Yeah. Number 6, the story of a young athlete who takes steroids and his life and future fall apart. That's a good guess. You could have kind of some persuasive information in there that maybe would convince other people not to take steroids. But in this case, it's going to be entertained. And again, that like clue comes from the story. If it's a story, that means it is fictional likely, and it is created to entertain us. We may learn some things along the way, but the overall purpose is entertainment.
Colleen.
Yeah, Rania.
So it's because I'm kind of confused right here. So author purpose always they ask about anything, it should be inform, entertain, or persuade.
That's correct. Yes.
Not about the
there's-
story or whatever he's writing about.
Right. Whenever we are choosing the author's purpose, we could write a whole thing about what they want to inform about or what they are entertaining about. Absolutely, those things are true too. Where they have many purposes at once. But when we're looking at author's purpose, it generally falls under one of those categories. We could expand and get more specific about what all their purposes are in that. They want to entertain us in a certain way, or they want to inform us about something specific. But we're just trying to pick out one of those three big categories: inform, persuade, entertain. Does that make
So
sense?
what it says author purpose, yes, it does.
Yeah, keep going. You
But
had
what
more
is
of a question. Try to ask it one more time, Rania. Okay.
I think I have an issue. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right now.
So okay, so what it says author purpose, we should just put the word persuade or entertain or whatever. And then what
Absolutely.
we should
Yes.
write for,
That's what
so
we
what
should
we
write.
should write. Okay, and then how about the example to your answer?
And
So
then
what
the
it should be there
explain your answer, we're just doing that part out loud. So you don't have to write it out. And this is not turned in either. Whenever it's listed under activity, it's something that we're doing in class together, but it's not for you to turn in. It's just for us to discuss together. Okay. But yes, all you need to record for yourself is just whether it was inform, entertain, or persuade. Okay, we're up to number 7 now. A medical report describing the effects of steroids on the human body. Inform, yeah. We've got inform on this one. It's kind of nice that they give us different options on the same topic just to see like those slight twists and how it would be different. So the previous one was entertain. This one is to inform. It's a medical report. It's describing the effects. So that's definitely information. Okay, number 8, a speech written by a professional athlete listing the negative effects of steroids and urging young athletes not to use steroids. Excellent. Yes, Hawa says persuade. Persuade would absolutely be correct here, and it kind of hinges on this word urging. If we are urging someone to do something, what are we doing?
Like, telling you.
Yeah, we're telling them, we're kind of like trying to convince them. We're urging somebody. We're like, come on, this is what you should do. Yeah. Or in this case, not do. Okay, number 9 is a booklet containing the school rules and the consequences for violating those rules. What is the cause? This one's informed too. Yeah, excellent. And the last one, 10, a story written about a young boy who moves to a new school and is bullied, but he gains self-confidence by joining a sports team and learns to stand up for himself. Entertain. Yes,
I have
entertain.
a question.
Yes.
If we have a paragraph and they don't give us it's a story, how we can identify if we
Yes. Great question. So if we have a longer paragraph, which is what we're going to have next, longer paragraphs, our example, we have to then draw some conclusions on our own. If it doesn't say this is a story, we have to try to figure out, is this something written like just for a novel, or can we tell if it's a story and it's just made up? If it does not seem like it's factually giving you information, then we're going to assume it's a story. Okay, but we'll get to practice that next with the whole paragraphs, and then see if we can figure out what's going on. Entertain. Yes, yes, you got it, Rania. Thank you. I could tell you were trying to tell me over your microphone. That darn microphone. Messing up your ability to tell us what's up. Okay. You can also look at this again if you were unsure or missed something that I said. Those are written in the answer keys here as well. The next one is exactly Gigi's question. What happens if it's a little bit longer and it doesn't say things like story in it? We're going to look at this author's purpose in the form of paragraphs and then getting a little bit more specific. So now we're not just choosing just inform, entertain, or persuade. We're getting a little bit more about what the author has in mind. So let's again take, we probably need at least 10 minutes to read these and make some choices, and then we'll go over it together.
Previous ones, some of them can be our main topic.
I was just double checking because I didn't want to shut the recording down altogether. But if you're working this at home, I'm going to pause the recording again. So take your time, answer these questions, and start it back up whenever you have your answers. As we're getting wrapped up with this exercise, and we're going to review it, it just has brought to my mind again that I want to encourage you to be reading some things out loud quietly to yourself. It is a really good practice because hearing it aloud is a different way of thinking about it. And I have found that students routinely understand more and answer questions better if they have read it quietly aloud to themselves. So I encourage all of you to do it. It makes a huge difference for me. You know, sometimes our eyes are just not always, but if you say it even quietly out loud, which you can get away with even while you're taking tests, right? To say things really quietly under your breath reading, it helps. It really helps us understand what we've read. All right, let's go ahead and go over these together. If for some reason you have not gotten through all of them, totally understand. But we are going to press on and hopefully get it all worked out together. Would anyone like to volunteer to read this first paragraph here? Hawa's going to read it? Okay, awesome.
The word or parasite is not committed with guns and knife of red relentless bulldozers, rolling dump trucks, and giant shovels like mythological beasts. Animals cuts and rips apart mountains to reach the minerals inside, leaving nothing but empty, naked hills. The land is left wasted and allowed to slide down upon houses and into streams, making the land unlivable and the stream water unthinkable. This is terracide, or if you prefer.
Excellent. Thank you, Hawa. How about, can people on Zoom hear when Hawa reads? I know it's really, there's just one microphone in this classroom, so that's pretty challenging. Okay. Yeah, so what do we think the author's purpose is this time? Are we getting informed about strip mining? Did they describe strip mining operation? Are they persuading that strip mining is bad for the environment, or defining terracide? Oh, good. You can hear her. First of all, they can hear you. That is awesome. Oh, and someone else says no, they cannot. Okay. It's tricky. It's tricky. Sorry, Hawa, I didn't mean to cut you off. Which one do you think it is? B?
C.
C. Excellent. C. Yes, we've got to persuade you that strip mining is bad for the environment. This is kind of a tough. Yeah, sorry, we cannot hear. Okay. So if it's possible, Hawa, if you can really project out when you're reading, because it's a little hard for the microphone to pick it up. But great job. Yes, this is persuading that strip mine is bad for the environment. Anybody pick D, define terracide? That one comes up a lot for people of like, yes, that was kind of a piece of it, but it's not really the overall purpose. He was trying to get more talking about how the dynamite cuts and rips apart mountains, leaving nothing but empty, naked hills. So it's really left wasted. There's a lot of clue words in there. This is a really negative thing. And so he's trying to persuade us that how bad it is for the environment. Okay, the next one. Do I have another volunteer to read about sex chromosomes? I can do it. I can read them all, but you know, that's boring. Rania, I saw your seed come up. You want to read this?
Phone is bad.
This one's bad? Okay. Okay, I'll do this one. Maybe you can do the next one. The human sex chromosomes are the XXXY pattern. The Y chromosome is much smaller than the X chromosome. Two types of sperm cells are formed during gametogenesis. That word is gametogenesis. Genesis is to create something, right? So they're creating gametes in this case, which is when sperm and egg come together. That's called a gamete. So it's the creation of those, gametogenesis. Half of these have the X chromosome and the other half have the Y chromosome. Every egg cell has an X chromosome, therefore fertilization determines the sex. If a Y sperm fertilizes the egg, a male develops. Your microphone's bad. Oh, your microphone's bad. Got it, Rania. What do we think the author's purpose is here? To explain how the sex of humans is determined, to describe chromosomes, tell the steps in fertilization, or contrast X and Y chromosomes?
I put B.
Number two, B.
And I was in the A and B.
Good. Both of those are good guesses. In this case, A is just a little bit better. Yes. So we're not just describing chromosomes because there's a lot of things in a chromosome, but in this case, it's specifically helping you understand how the sex is determined of any mammal for sure. Just like it's kind of interesting that women just carry X's and sperm is either X or Y and determined. So kind of interesting. So B, or sorry, A is the correct one there. A is the correct one. Explain how the sex of humans is determined. Oh, Minta, your microphone is bad too. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I don't like to call on anybody and put them on the spot, but I also want to give people an opportunity to talk if they can. Anybody want to read the next one, the delicious New England?
Yes, I would love to read. For me,
Okay, yeah, go for it.
number 3. I will try. Number 3. Which one were I?
This one right here, to make delicious New England. It says pit. That must be a typo. It is definitely supposed to be pie, P-I-E.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes it a little more, makes a tiny bit more sense.
So to make a delicious New England pie, process as follows. To take some water and flour, then put to the bullets and proof dough. Make this into a disc-shaped project diet for a couple of days and mild temperature. Pour the stewed dry apple and slaps of citron leaves and in safe place until the petrifies.
Petrifies, yeah.
Serve cold at breakfast and invite your mother-in-law.
Yeah.
I think it's D.
Thank you. You think it's D? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Hawa says B.
Say A.
You say A? Ooh, we're all over it. We're all over the place here.
How about you, Colleen? What do you think?
Well, one thing I wanted to point out is, anybody know what petrifies means? Okay, this is going to help if we know what petrifies means.
Scared, like
Yes, you can be so scared that you are petrified. In the natural world, where this comes from is, or why they use that to describe someone being scared, is a petrified something is taking something that was like living or organic, like a tree or something like that, and it becomes fossilized. So it is like rock. Something goes from being a living thing to becoming rock. So sometimes when things are in water for a long time, all of like the living cells are pulled out and replaced by minerals. So if you see petrified wood, it looks like a tree, but it feels like a rock. So that's what they're saying happened here. If you're leaving it in a safe place until it petrifies or becomes like rock. And I think that's a great point that we use petrified as being scared. That's like so frozen that you can't move, or like you become like a rock. Okay, so now how does that influence your choice of which purpose this is?
Does it persuade the reader to buy New England pie?
So in this case, it's not going to be. They are trying to make fun of New England cooking because what they're describing is bad. No one would want this. They are making fun of New England pies. Take some water, construct a bulletproof dough. That means it's so hard a bullet couldn't get through it. They think it's terrible. Dry it for a couple of days. Poured stewed dried apples and slabs of citron. Leave it in a safe place until it becomes like rock. Serve cold at breakfast. Invite your mother-in-law, which tends to be a joke that people don't always like their mother-in-laws. So it would be something you would feed to someone you don't like. So in this case, they are making fun. It's B. They are making fun. This one was tough. This one was really tough because like we've got to kind of get a lot of things about the tone and what they're really going for.
For me, I thought the last sentence is cold at night.
Serve cold at breakfast to your mother-in-law. Yeah, that made it clear for you. Okay, how about this next one? Anybody want to read this?
I read.
Okay, thanks.
I will try to give the reader of this article some ideas of the real nature of Gothic architecture.
Architecture.
Architecture. Wow.
Yeah.
Not just of Venice, of universal Gothic. One of the most interesting part of our study will be to find out how far veterans architect sorry,
Yeah,
it's
good,
hard.
good. No, good architecture. Yeah.
When in achieving the perfect type of Gothic and how far it fell short of it.
Excellent. So it sounds like he's doing some kind of compare contrast, like comparing Gothic architecture with Venetian architecture. So those are two different styles of architecture or buildings.
Well, maybe it's C.
See, excellent. That sounds like a good one. Show how Venetian architecture is different from Gothic architecture. Wonderful. Yeah. Does that make sense for people? Okay. Great. Just a couple more.
Did it say anything about Venetian architecture? It didn't describe
It didn't describe it. No, it didn't describe it, but they're suggesting that they're about to. So he's saying, I'll try to give the reader of this article, so this is only the introduction of what's going to be a longer article, the nature of Gothic architecture, not just of Venice or Venetian architecture, but Gothic. So he's setting up a compare contrast between those two. And we're assuming that in the sentences and paragraphs that follow, they're going to describe both of those much more. Okay. Anybody want to read this one? Yeah, Gigi.
On September 23, a large
Cavalry
troop from Fort Robinson arrived at the camp of Sitting Bull.
Sitting Bull.
Hughes, as he was about to give a welcoming speech, a commotion broke out among the watching
warriors, yeah.
Rifles.
Yeah.
We fight, and the meeting ended in a
Massacre.
massacre of the soldiers.
Excellent. Let's go through the words that we're not familiar with in this one. Yeah, Hawa.
Who is this he?
Who is this he?
This as he was about. Is that a Robinson?
Yeah, a large cavalry troop broke out of the just as he was about to give a welcoming speech. A commotion broke out. I'm guessing that it's Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull is the name of a Native American chief. So I think that he is referring back to Sitting Bull. Good question. Yes. And part of what clues us into the fact that this is a name is that it's capitalized, the camp of Sitting Bull. We could have assumed that that was the name of a place too, right? Until it says he. That's a great question. He is referring back to, I just happen to know from other stories that Sitting Bull is a person. But that's what the he is referring back to. How about this word cavalry? This first cavalry. Anybody know what that is?
The people who eat
Good guess. Good guess. That's called a cannibal. I like that. Cannibal. Yes, cannibals are people that eat other people. Yeah. Yes. You like horror. You like horror books and stuff, don't you? Oh, bloodthirsty. Yes, right. So the bloodthirsty part. Okay, so cavalry is a group of soldiers on horses. So this is from a long time ago, September 23rd, a couple hundreds of years ago. But so we've got a troop of soldiers coming in on horses. They arrive at a Native American camp. Sitting Bull was just about to give a welcoming speech. The soldiers coming in brought out more warriors watching. Rifles were fired, or those long guns, rifles were fired, and the meeting ended in a massacre. So that is killing many people, and that is the link to this comment about bloodthirsty. Incredibly rude and unfair, in my opinion, as people were coming into their camp. Anyway, so which one do we think the author's purpose is?
B.
Anybody else? C? I've got C's and B's. In this case, it is going to be C. It's telling the events leading to the massacre, what happened immediately before that. Right, so they are explaining, but they are explaining specifically just those events that led up to it. Okay, anybody want to read about tofu?
I can read.
Thank you, Rania.
Tofu is, I love tofu. Tofu is become very popular. Sorry, I'm just putting my phone on silent. Tofu's product is becoming very popular as low calorie, cultural free meat substitute. Formerly, it was found exclusively in Asian market and health food stores, but today tofu is in most supermarket produce department. This wild cheese-like substance is made from the condensed milk, condensed milk of soybeans, and it's extremely high in protein and low in sodium. The food is almost tasteless by itself, but it can be easy mixed into sauce and soups. It can even be made in any scrambled eggs.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Rania. So, giving us some information about tofu, the author's primary purpose is to what? Evaluate Asian cooking, persuade you to eat low cholesterol foods, to describe tofu, or to compare tofu with meat. Which do we think it is?
I think
I
it's
have
B.
tofu.
Yeah, everybody's got it, I think. Describe tofu. Yes, they're just telling us what it is and how it can be used. So it's a general description of tofu. Wonderful. Okay, how about this last one? Do I have a volunteer to read the Dear Tall? Yeah, Hawa wants to read
I
it.
can.
Hawa's got this one. Thanks.
Dear tall, dark, and handsome, this is your lucky day. The girl of your dreams is a phone call away. I am 5'10", slim, pretty, and only 23. I love pop music, good books, iconic foods, and foreign travel. Give me a ring any day after 6 p.m. You won't be sorry. Your girl, Jack.
Yep. I had somebody in my evening class see this and they're like, yeah, I'm calling. Like, okay. What do you think the author's purpose is to do? Convince the reader to call the writer, describe the writer objectively, to criticize the writer's lack of intelligence, or entertain the reader with some interesting facts.
Entertain the reader.
It's a good guess. It's a good guess. It is entertaining, but if we had another choice, what might that be?
Describe.
Is it A?
A.
It is A. Yes, in this case, it's A. They are trying to persuade us or convince us to call them.
Well,
Yeah.
some of the readers are not.
Some of the readers are not going. Nevertheless, that's what they're trying to do. It's not going to reach all the audience. Most of us are not interested in Jackie. We are not giving Jackie a call. Yeah. But that's what the author's trying to do. Great job. Okay, I hope that makes it just a little bit more clear as we think about author's purpose.
That was
Yeah. It's tricky. It's tricky, but it's useful. So if you didn't catch everything in our conversation, the answers are here in the answer key. Okay, so we just have one more thing to do today, and that is, oh no, two things to do. Although one of them is optional. I'm going to jump to the end here. Our optional assignment is to create your GED.com account. Some of you may have it. If not, this is something that you would need to do on a computer or your phone. And this is going to take you through the instructions. Go to GED.com, sign up. After you do that, you want to go through all their questions. Make sure that you select PCC as your testing center. If you already have an account but don't have PCC as your testing center set up, you can just click on your initials up here and it will take you into edit profile where you can then choose to pick a testing center. So if you have that and want to send me your GED number, I can send practice tests to you. If this isn't something that you do not feel ready for yet, that is fine. It will absolutely happen in the advanced class. So that's why this one's optional. If you want to set it up, take a practice test. I can hand out practice tests. Again, that website is just GED.com. This is optional. The assignment today that is not optional is Do Animals Laugh? So I mentioned we're going to be moving a little bit away from writing assignments and doing more reading assignments. This has a short article and some questions to answer. If you are here in person, you can answer them on paper and give it back to me. If you are doing this remotely, once you have read this article, you'll need to open this up to read the article. But after you do that, come on back here, answer the questions. There is nothing to submit to me. If you make your choices and check your answers for all of these, it's recording it inside the computer and I can just visit and look to see if you've done it. So please, as you go through, make a choice and check each of your answers to see if it's correct. That's how I will know that you have finished the assignment. Okay. But before you answer any of those questions, you'll want to open this reading up. It's just a little couple pages about whether or not animals laugh. Any questions about the assignment? Any questions about creating a GED account if you want to? All right, then I'm going to just let you go to it. If you want to do this on your own, you can take it with you or wrap it up for today. That's our last thing for today, and it's for you to do on your own. So with that, I'll say goodbye, but I'm also here if people have questions.
I have a question, Colleen.
You bet.
For example, like about tutoring for math, I didn't have a chance to talk to Mike. Is there any way you can help me how to connect or I need more information about them, where I can find it?
Yeah, you cut out there for a second, Rania. What, it's for math you're talking about and you want, thank you, Natalie. It's what more information do you want about the math class?
No, I just need a tutoring for math. I didn't have a chance to talk to Mike.
Oh, yeah.
So do you know where I can get their information or
Yeah,
to contact?
absolutely. Absolutely. So, let me go to that page again. So I just typed in tutoring at PCC. I know it's cold in here. You can drop in the tutoring in-person drop-in. So here are at Rock Creek. It's in building 7, room 218.
Yes.
There's also ways to schedule some tutoring one-on-one over Zoom if that's what you prefer. You can do it with the online drop-in schedule. So this is I just typed into Google PCC tutoring and they have this tutoring page to come up and you can choose how you want to get it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Colleen.
Yeah, you are so welcome.
Have a great day.
Thanks,
See
you
you
too,
next week.
Rania. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Great, Raquel. Thank you. See you next week.